morning, I'm Agustín Zepeda for NewZtar Intelligence. Here is your global briefing for Thursday, June 11, 2026. President Trump announced plans to strike Iran very hard tonight and seize Karg Island, which handles 90% of Iranian oil exports. Trump declared the goal is total control of Iran's oil and gas markets as U.S. forces conducted a second day of strikes. The World Bank warns the conflict will drag global growth to post-COVID lows. But here is where the coverage diverges. American left-leaning media emphasize the unprecedented broadcasting of military strikes before execution as dangerous precedent, while American right-leaning outlets frame this as difficult but necessary strategic choices. Chinese state media highlight over 3,000 U.S. protests against the war and quote a sailor's father calling the attack foolishness and madness. European outlets focus on economic implications and question whether Trump means occupation or destruction. SpaceX launches its initial public offering tomorrow with retail investor demand exceeding $100 billion according to market data. The offering could make Elon Musk the world's first trillionaire based on his stake valuation. Musk publicly apologized on social media, saying some Trump-related posts went too far. But here is where the coverage diverges. American financial media lead with the historic $100 billion demand figure and market mechanics, while Indian media present the trillionaire milestone as near certainty. European outlets in Japan express concern about retail investor mania and potential losses. American general interest media give equal weight to Musk's Trump apology, suggesting possible IPO-motivated public relations cleanup that financial outlets downplay. The Swiss National Bank delivered a surprise 50 basis point rate cut to 0.5%, the most aggressive move since pandemic emergency measures. The cut signals deepening concerns about war-induced economic slowdown spreading beyond energy markets. Gold dropped despite inflation fears as the dollar strengthened on flight to safety demand. But here is where the coverage diverges. European financial outlets frame this as emergency crisis response comparable to pandemic measures, while American media treat it as significant but routine monetary adjustment. Chinese state media emphasize Western economic vulnerability and instability, suggesting this validates their warnings about U.S. warmongering consequences. Russian outlets minimize coverage entirely, focusing instead on alternative payment systems. The Pentagon triggered a brief lockdown this morning over a hazardous materials incident amid heightened security tensions. The all-clear was given within 2 hours with no casualties reported. The incident comes as U.S. military forces remain on elevated alert status due to Iran conflict operations. But here is where the coverage diverges. American media report this as routine HAZMAT incident with quick resolution, though some outlets question whether it was an actual emergency or security drill. Middle Eastern media give the incident minimal coverage, despite potential connection to Iran conflict security posture. Chinese and Russian state media completely omit the Pentagon lockdown, focusing instead on U.S. military aggression narratives. Bahrain and other Gulf states released damage footage from Iranian drone attacks intercepted overnight, underscoring their military dependence on U.S. protection systems. Multiple drones were shot down, but some infrastructure damage occurred. The attacks came as retaliation for U.S. strikes on Iranian targets over the past 2 days. But here is where the coverage diverges. American media emphasize successful interception rates and U.S. defense system effectiveness, while Middle Eastern outlets focus on infrastructure damage and civilian risk. Chinese state media highlight casualties to commercial vessels including Indian sailors, framing this as collateral damage from U.S. aggression. European outlets note the conspicuous absence of public Saudi and UAE positions on American plans to seize Iranian oil infrastructure. Coinbase unveiled AI agent trading tools allowing automated cryptocurrency transactions based on machine learning algorithms. The platform represents the first major U.S. exchange to offer retail AI-driven trading amid regulatory uncertainty. Former Signal executives separately announced encrypted spaces for private collaboration, expanding privacy-focused tech options. But here is where the coverage diverges. American financial media emphasize innovation and market democratization potential, while tech-focused outlets express skepticism about algorithm reliability and retail investor protection. European media question regulatory adequacy and rush to market amid geopolitical instability. Chinese state media frame this as further evidence of unstable Western financial systems driven by speculation rather than fundamentals. That is your NewZtar Intelligence briefing for Thursday, June 11, 2026. News in every angle, every morning. I'm Agustín Zepeda. Stay informed.